I'm just gonna hide everything for a moment, kind of take you guys at least to my thought process here. So show. So here's our weekly profiles, and this is an ETH. You can definitely use that on volume profile. If you guys look, the first thing that you should notice is that's an inside week, right? So you basically, if you guys remember that Wednesday, the sell-off that we had, basically the whole thing here, we're still trading within that range. So when you think about in terms of like value and shift, we were here, we were building value here. We tried to get back inside again, right? So if you look at all these value area highs and value area lows, we're basically rejected here at that critical level that we had, that 01 to 11, the zone, which happens to be kind of like this skinny belly here, the LVN. So they're really protecting that. Basically, we are rejecting the top value. We are shifting in the bottom value. And if you look here for a moment, I don't want to draw, but if you look at this here, you have value area high, value area high, value area high. You came here, you got rejected. Obviously, this value here, you know, the Thanksgiving was fairly tight. They popped out of it. Out of this P, they sold off, so they did not like this value. And then they built value below, and then eventually they auctioned, you know, higher. But look at now. We are not able to sustain, call it the penthouse at the top. We are basically playing this range right now from 104 all the way down to about 5951. So they're trying to build value lower. Which is that bullish or bearish?
Bearish.
That would be bearish, right? I mean, if you're bullish, you really shouldn't have lost this area up top. If by some chance, let's say they reclaim this 61, 62 here, what would that tell you then?
You're rejecting prices lower?
They're rejecting prices lower, and most likely, right, I would say that they're going to be triggering something to the top. And if you zoom in here, I'm just going to hide the candles for a moment. This is your weekly profile, right? So take a look at what they did, right? So you have two distributions, right? You have one at the top, you have one at the bottom. You open here, you close higher, but you really, in terms of weekly level, you really have to reclaim this right here. You guys see the single prints? You have to reclaim this 63 all the way down to about 55. I would expect short this area, especially if they come here overnight and they give us this at open tomorrow. Ideally, right, they would give us something like peak above and then fail. And that would be pretty good all the way to about, 31. And I would probably target 15 for the next level being a 976 and a half. But this would be pretty good enough for me if I can catch this. But that depends how we open, right? So weekly, this is your bias, right? This is your, are you going to accept the prices lower here, or are we going to go in the upper distribution here and trade from there? If you're not speaking, go on mute, please. Does that make sense so far? Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
That when you look at the top, right, I'm calling this the penthouse, the green zone. If bulls really want to go bullish, as soon as they reclaim this, let's call it 611 level, there's a high chance we hit 6129, which would be our 3-week POC. And most likely they would auction here to the weekly and fix this poor high. So we are watching this to see how they react to it. There is some news. We're off on Wednesday, right? Is that Wednesday? Yeah. The first we're off. But there's a lot of news, right? There's, I believe there's ISM manufacturing, and there's also jobless claims this week. So I'll definitely watch, see what they squeeze it in, right? And some of you guys are noticing the options indicating something happening towards the inauguration date of January 20th, I believe, right? Nonetheless, these are the key zones, right? For this week, we're watching this. If bulls want to get, long term, continue the trend, they want to be above this level. So then you zoom in on the daily, right, to kind of set up the game plan for smaller and tactical trades, right? So if you go here, what do you guys notice about Friday?
At a D shape?
D shape? D or B?
D. Diamond?
We can say that it's D shape, but it does have a nasty tail up front, up top, right? There's a decent tail up front, not a lot on the bottom.
Lowercase b.
It's lowercase b, but is there anything unusual that happened that it should have grabbed your attention a little bit?
We closed lower than we opened and
The
we
spike.
POCs.
Okay. Anyone else?
We bounced at that bottom of
Is there
the
anything
single
to
print.
do with IB? Is anyone noticing anything with IB?
Yeah, for my chart, the spike
Now,
base I think would be matching the IBL, and they ran it all the way up to previous day value area high, spike end up at the top, pretty much.
Okay. But what is IB telling you? What happened on Friday?
well, they did the middle of it. They went back half of it.
Is this a failed IB?
Yeah,
So what do you expect the next day or within 2-3 days? What does it say?
the other extreme.
Most likely we're going to go to the other extreme, and that's what I was targeting, right? Overnight, if they can give us this, that would be nice, right? And I would look for that to play out. And you know they're giving you this lowercase b, but I honestly think they're going to run this overnight here to the top side. So it's a failed IB, and what that means is that you have the initial balance set up here, right? And we had, you know, I would say we spent some time here. So let me go here. I'll go into. Okay, so here's your IB, right? So you have the A period and the B period, right? And then you had the C period kind of go lower, and then the D period left a tail, right? So they opened and they went higher. They left some poor highs here, and then they came back and fixed that, and then they went lower. But this was, you know, when you think about the the trap here, it's pretty good, right? They came in a lot lower than they needed to, and I don't know if you guys recall this level from last watch list, 982.5. Do you guys remember this? Anyone? On Sunday? I even asked you guys in the main chat, tagged all of you. Why was it important? I mean, you guys remember this? We talked about it. This right here. Why?
Previous week, November value area low and previous week value area low.
Well, this was a previous all-time high, right? At one point, and we said it's a pretty decent level for them to come back to, and they want to hold above. And you know, they dipped here below, they held it. We talked about this level on Sunday, and we said it's fairly important that they kind of hold above that, and that's where they showed up. So now, when you think about the daily, right? You have a failed IB. If they're able to break this value area high of, let's say, that's sitting kind of at 27. For me, it's at 31 on SVP. So like right here, if they're able to break this level right here, what do they have much in a way to get to 57.62 zone? They have this LVN that goes all the way up to here, right? 40. And then in terms of EWAPs, right? There's a lot here. You guys see where we open and where we sold off from? Monthly and the weekly VWAP is there. So I would say if you can get above this zone here, you could play this on the long side. It's just going to be choppy a little bit to get there. But then I would look for shorting here, especially if they peak above and fail. That would be ideal, right? And since if you look at the, you know, the SVP here, what type of profile is that on SVP last Friday?
Lowercase b.
Lowercase b. So you want to pay attention, remember, to this value area high and see how do we respond. Let's say they give you this tomorrow. They peak above. Oops. Wrong. If they peak above here and then they give you this, what is this? Bullish, bearish?
Bearish.
Yeah, you want to target somewhere in the 80% all the way to 997, right? So I would watch where we open and what levels are we holding. If we can't hold this 31 to about 37, where the VWAPs are stacked. And if you look here, you had some value also being built here before. Value area high was set here. Now it's matching here. So it's kind of clear that they have value here. But if they can't find buyers here and they fail, higher odds that we're going all the way down to this key zone from the monthly perspective. Okay. So for me, I'll definitely watch this. Look above and fails is pretty big. I will definitely short in this area. If they auction above this, get out of the way, right? There's a high chance they're going to run it all the way to 6-1 or so, and you have some VPOCs on the upper side as well. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then if you guys just zoom out a little bit and go on a monthly, let me just show you something here. What is monthly telling you? Is it bullish or bearish?
I think it's
Both.
neither. And yeah, neutral.
Remember, at one point, December value was here. Do you guys remember when we talked about it, how it was compressed?
Yep.
It was here, and we said it would be nice if they go below and they start building value lower in this area, right? So you see how important this area is going to be in terms of, you know, monthly standpoint right here, right? So if you go here, this is a pretty important zone, guys. It's super important, right? So if you think about like all the levels that I just, you have the value area high of October, value area low in November, and then you have the value area low for current December that's coming up to an end. If they can close in here, they're closing in balance. They clearly did what to the prices below here?
Rejected.
So this, they rejected them. I mean, look at your September value area high here to a penny. So they came to September value area high. They basically, you know, explore this whole October value area. They came kind of short of it, but they hit this value area high of that massive run here, and then they bounced right into it. They're rejecting lower prices here, guys. This is not on the monthly time frame. This is not bearish, and we did not, you know, break the monthly framing down here, right? It has to go a lot longer, you know, ways below to make this happen. The value area high shifted, and what do you notice about the value area high? Is it shifting down?
It's
Shifting
higher.
up.
No, it's high, guys. This is fairly high. We need this value area high to shift, and we need this value area low to shift. The only way we get that shift is in the next, you know, what is it, 3 days that we have? We have, yeah, 2 days. They need to break below this balance and start trading in this zone, and that's how it happens. Otherwise, this is a bullish close. You have a higher value area high, higher POC, and double stack on value low here. Monthly's not showing any weakness just yet. It was when it was here, and we called that out, right? That it's building really tight, and then they flushed it, right? Whatever that was that FMOC, I believe, the rates.
Shorty, is that a crowded poor high for the month? What is that? All those.
Yeah, that's definitely crowded poor high. Definitely crowded high. Okay, so monthly, don't be very, I would say, biased towards it. But if you look at the 12 months, I would just look at it on 3 days. And look at this like this, an ES. What is this telling you?
Yikes, an uptrend.
Is this bearish or bullish? From value perspective, there's no slowdown on the yearly, guys. This is not bearish, right? And then you look at the 3 months. Here's your 3 months. This one is telling you something else. Do you guys see how perfect that bounce was here? What is this one telling you?
Consolidating a bit.
That long tail, they might need to go back down and do some more business there.
Well, they rejected this value here, right? So I would say they rejected this value where you have this HVN, you came there, buyers were ready. So if you think about it, you almost have like a triple distribution. Well, 1, 2, 3, and maybe the fourth one is here, right? So you don't like it here. You didn't like trading in this LVN. Now you're above the POC here, which is what, 1470, 1725? You know, 104 is not a bad target, which happens to be one of our key levels, right, to watch for. So in terms of like higher time frames, the only one that looks somewhat, you know, shady is this one here, because you peaked above this and you failed, but you went to the value area twice and you got bought, you know, bought back up immediately. So a bearish close would be, you know, if you can close this year below 5868, that'll be good. But otherwise, all cylinders are pointing like they still have a little bit more to go. And then weekly, like we discussed, hopefully you guys are following this. Weekly is telling you what? Is this bullish or bearish? The weekly setup.
It's bearish.
Taking range.
Range, but you're leaning more neutrally bearish. And why is that?
We're rejecting the top.
So
The
you
value
had
up here.
value here, you had value here, and you had a nice rejection, right? Then you went, you know, this POC, you went below it. So let's say, you know, they lose tomorrow, the 615. There's a high chance they're going to visit this 5975 quickly tomorrow. Is this a zone where you want to be a hero and, you know, start selling in this zone? I'll probably say avoid that, right? In this zone, you do not want to be selling here. You want to sell above, not here. Okay. So this is your weekly. Just keep in mind this 15 is going to play a big role for, well, whatever that POC is. It's like 1475, 1525. At 1470. Okay. Does that make sense, Toll?
Yeah.
Okay. Any
Where'd that
questions?
little green zone come from?
Oh, this one? This is your weekly and monthly overlaps on values. Go back to,
Because it's bigger on the monthly, right?
bigger, but here we go. So this was the value area high for October. And at one point, this value area low was a little bit here. So I had this zone drawn multiple times. And then if you go on the weekly, let me show you here. We'll just go on 2 hours for a moment. Look at this. You have the value area low, and then you have what? Value area low of the sell-off. This one is shifting a little bit, not much, but that's the zone that I'm kind of watching.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Any questions on ES? All right, let's look at snow. Somebody's asking, so I will let you guys look at it for a moment. So I did get some calls on this, and I explained this in one of the lives that Rockets had. I mean, I don't know how long ago was that, Rockets, if you're on. Maybe 5 weeks ago when you're running up here. I said, ideally, we want to catch snow when it falls back to about 157, right? They would come close, right? I think they hit like 160 and then they had a decent bounce, like $13. Now you're coming, guys, to a POC that's basically looking from, you know, their what, all time. So think about this. The logic is you went above it, right? And you did not touch the extreme, but you're coming to the fairest price of your stock for all time. What do you expect to see?
Buying.
I would expect to see buying. I mean, think about it. Look at the volume shelves that are sitting here.
Large
And,
time frame buyers.
Yeah,
Right.
you would expect them, yeah. You would expect them to come in here and and start buying. And here's your basically, I would say your couple of years, at least 3 years, same POC. So if we want to get really, really bullish quickly, if they can clear this zone right here, if they can clear this zone, let's say by the end of the year, which is about $7, I think they have a really, really strong chance to run it, right? And when I say run it, there's not going to be much stopping us now to 184. And for me, the target is like right around here. 197 would be what I'm watching. And that's also some gaps, it could get really crazy here if it gets to 200. That's the reasoning behind my February calls. Any questions from anyone on this? Stockman, does that make sense? Okay. How do you guys feel about next week on the 4th? I don't know if you guys are going to be out or traveling for New Year's. A class on Saturday, the 4th.
Works for me.
Works for me.
All right. It'll be focused more on market profile. So we'll do the class on Saturday this time. I don't have any kids games, so I'll keep you guys updated. So I'll put it up, and then if I have to change Sunday midweek, I'll let you guys know as well. Okay.
Shorty, I think Stunkman is server muted. He couldn't answer you.
Say it again.
I think New York City Stunkman is server muted, so he couldn't answer you.
Oh. Well, we can unmute him. Yeah, you're unmuted. There's a lot of you that are server muted. I mean, you guys, give you guys a fair chance. I believe. Shakedown, your mic's hot. All right, I fixed all of you guys. All right, the only other one from the big boys that's giving me kind of, a concern is Apple, and I'll show you guys why. So this is the 3 months that we looked at, and it's still printing out a lowercase b in an uptrend on 3 months. What does that tell you about value and follow through?
Slowing down.
Yeah, especially if they lose these levels, like let's say 252, high chance that they can go to this 236 and then ultimately 225. And then if you switch this to a 1 month, this one's really one that got me a little bit. Here, let me go ETH. Take a look at this one on ETH on Apple. If they lose this level, what do you expect? Most likely POC, and then you have this, right? And this is your monthly profile on Apple. So it's setting up, potentially for some bearishness as long as they fail below that level. And then you go on 65 minutes. And here's that. And look where they're bouncing. Is it pretty weird where they're getting all the buyers in? Right here. So if Apple loses this, not to be long on the market. Does that make sense?
Hey,
And
Shorty, I
most
remember
likely,
a couple months ago you said your friend was buying Apple and it was at all-time highs. Did he ever end up keeping it, or did he just?
He's still in it. He's just
Oh, he's
texting
still
me
in it?
actually last night. I told him broken clock is right twice, but when you're buying something at all-time high and your revenue is going down, your sales are going down, you're losing market share, I don't think that's net new buyers coming in. And if anything, they showed you this week that was not net new buyers. That's a pretty massive rejection if you think about the last week. So if they lose this, oh man, they're going to be in free fall. I would target this fairly soon, probably by January 17th or so. It should be $11 down. I mean, look at the volume. Like there's so many concentration, small areas. And when the value area is congested, what does it tell you about the participation?
There's not too much.
Wow. Well, okay. Well, if there's not too much, this one was congested. This one was congested. This one, somewhat congested. This one's congested. But let's look at this one here. This one came out of, and we went above. What did they do immediately? Sell it back down. They went above. So that's telling me clearly here you have two-sided activity, meaning the short-term traders, and then you have people selling above value, buying below the value. In this one, we went above the value here, and what happened? I mean,
A lot of sell.
they sent you all the way to the prior week value area low. And again, what happened? Other, time frame or people that found value before, they got back in, drove it back all the way. Now they're defending this area. So if they lose this area here just as quickly as you went both times, you're going to go just same speed back down. And if you lose this area finally, let's say you lose this level here at 246, you don't have a whole lot of, I would say, volume up here, guys, when you put it, in relationship to everything else here. Look at the volume here. So, did he get it right? Yeah. But would I ever buy Apple where he bought it? No. I was screaming Apple buy at 145. I think it was, no, it was here. Yeah, but to each its own, right? I mean, some people like that, some don't.
Yeah, we got it at around 140.
Yeah. I think it's more poised for down than up. And Tesla also is in trouble. I think Tesla has numbers this week, so I would be careful how you guys trade this. And something's happening here, you should know, right? When you have multi-distribution profiles and you're not trading above them, what does that tell you about the confidence in auction higher?
It's not there.
Not there, guys. And this looks, like a double distribution. 1, 2, 3 double distributions. Tesla's, I would say, probably headed 403. That's overpriced. I would say a visit here would be ideal right here. 352 is incoming fairly soon. Probably by April, 350 will be in play. And you want to get out of there because then everything from legalities are going to go into Tesla's benefits. Just a wild guess. All right. Well, I'll trade live tomorrow, and then I won't be trading Wednesday, and neither will you guys be. Probably won't be trading heavily on that Thursday and Friday because the volume usually is really, really bad. But let's see, right? They could shock us where they start buying or selling into the year. So I'll watch it and see how's the morning. If the volume is low, then I'll just walk away. Okay.
Thanks,
Hey,
Shorty.
Shorty.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
See you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.